Hey guys, happy Easter. Just want to say welcome to week two of Accounting One. Um, Basically, this week we are going to start back into review of the chapters you guys have covered so far. We are starting with Accounting Chapter 3, and that was the chapter that basically introduced the accounting equation and the transactions and how those actually affected that accounting equation. So what I want you to do is roll the mind back to when you start looking at this with assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. That was where it all started, and we looked at the things that affected that, the transactions that came into play. So with your assets, you need to think of the kind of the way I introduce that is with, let's say you're going to buy a car, or maybe you already bought a car. If you own that car outright, one of the things the chapter introduces equity. If you own the car and you don't owe anybody for the car, you don't have a liability, somebody that can claim an equity in that car outside of you, then you have 100% owner's equity. Now, if there is somebody else with a claim on that, you call that a liability. It's a payable. You need to pay that off. So your asset, let's say you buy a $5,000 car, the liability, if you borrowed from a bank, um, you have a liability to pay that bank. Let's say you borrowed 4,000 for it, and you paid in 1,000. Okay, so the asset is $5,000 car equals the 4,000 that you borrowed from the bank plus the 1,000 that you paid in cash. If you sold the car, your equity in the car is $1,000 if you sold it for 5,000, and then you'd have to pay the bank back the 4,000. So that's kind of the gist of what this chapter really talks about. I put a link further down on the slide deck. You can review the slides for this chapter. Um, Part of this whole deal with this review, it allows us to kind of go back and let you guys apply some real world stuff on what's going on right now. So currently, there is the CARES Act that went into place, and it is starting to pay out monies to individuals and families that are affected by the virus. That recovery, it also is putting money in the hands of small business owners and corporations to kind of offset their losses for right now. But it's helping people like you and I, for your families, to pay for the mortgage or the rent. It's helping them make that car payment still. Now granted, it's only $1,200, and it only goes out to individuals based on their last year's tax record filing. So when they filed for 2019, that's last tax year, if you are making under 75,000, that allocated out $1,200 per person. If you are married filing jointly, let's say you've got parents that are married and they're filing together, that means together if they're filing with under $150,000, they'll get $1,200 a piece, $2,400 for that couple. And there's also dependent amounts that come out. If you were under 17 last year in 2019, they're actually going to give another $500 per dependent per kid that was dependent on them for their roof over their head and their food, another $500 a piece. So those checks are supposed to start coming out this next week. We put an infographic on the slide following this one. It's a couple into the deck on this. I want you to take a look at that and look at the money that's allocated to offset some of the hit that people have taken. And I want you to go in, and after studying that, I want you to do a short paragraph on, how does that affect a family like yourselves and your family. So after that, you'll also find there are 4 questions in there. I want you to look over those 4, find the 2 that are most interesting to you, and answer them on the worksheet. Now there is a link in this slide deck for a worksheet. I would rather you don't use that link and update it or upload it. I've already provided you that same worksheet that you're going to fill out in the Google Classroom. So if you look down the page from where you clicked on this slide deck, you will see that already in there, and all you've got to do is turn it in and submit it by Friday. So if you submit it by Friday, I'll be able to grade it. I'll be able to go ahead and give you a pass on it. Know your stuff, make sure it's in well, and probably take you less than 30 minutes. 35 minutes or so just to knock it out. But outside of that, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a fantastic Easter today. It was a beautiful day out after the tornado warning woke me up in the morning, probably yourselves too. So hope everything is good where you're at. And another week, Isolationville. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week, and I will catch you guys next Monday. Take care.